just
There we go. Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast for episode 119. Today we're talking about Amazon's Fallout series and is Hollow Knight Silksong finally on its way? Joining me as always, my sweet dumpster boy, Cayman Darty. Cayman.
Patrick, that game will never be on its way.
Its most compelling case is being made today. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to see. But Cayman, how are you, buddy?
Patrick, I'm probably the best I've ever been.
Ever?
That's not accurate, actually, Patrick. Let's be honest. I am falling apart. I am splitting at the seams, but I'll be damned if I'm not here.
Yeah, you will be.
So,
would you be so bold, Cayman, as to say it's the best you've ever been in the 119 times that we've been on this podcast together?
Look, I feel like it would be wrong of me to make the assumption that yes, this is the best I've ever been, because I've been a lot of things.
Tell me, brother.
Patrick, we were talking before we went live. We were talking about Rose made a focaccia.
Yeah, she sure did, and oh boy, it tastes good.
I love to hear that. What I would say is, like, the one thing that I think the worst thing you can ever do is let your wife. And I'm gonna be as bold as to say, Patrick, don't let your significant other become a sourdough person.
Whoa, tell me why.
There is what? Okay, here's the thing about sourdough.
Can we please talk about the thing about sourdough right now?
I think it's about time we talk about the thing about it. When your significant other becomes a sourdough person,
okay,
what happens, Patrick?
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. Sourdough starter requires for you to have an existing sourdough starter. You have to make sourdough.
Okay.
Like 20 times a week.
Ugh.
We have so much sourdough bread in this house.
You really have to make it that much?
In the dumpster household.
Yeah.
We have so much sourdough. I'm starting to come up with weird and exciting ways to turn sourdough into exciting meals for you to have. Soon, I'm going to be coming out with a cookbook about ways that, like, dumpster sourdough recipes. And let me tell you, Patrick, I think I found the way to do it. You ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, so here's the thing with sourdough.
Okay.
Sourdough bread. Have you ever heard of egg in a basket?
I've heard of an egg in a basket. I've also heard of egg in a canoe. Same thing, just a different name.
Okay, that's exciting. So egg in a basket, for those at home that don't know. So you cut a hole in your piece of bread, put it in a skillet, drop an egg into the hole that you've made. Let it cook, flip it, cook it some more, then have like a runny yolk. But you got the bread and the runny yolk. Here's the thing. Fantastic little breakfast meal. Yeah. Elevate the game.
Oh, elevate it.
Elevate it. Mix your egg in a basket and make it avocado toast. Okay. Here's the thing that makes it crazier.
Yeah.
Put a little cheese. Okay. Put a little cheese.
For those of us that aren't lactose intolerant.
Yeah. For those that, well, if you are, then, well, evolution says that you shouldn't exist. Put a little cheese, flip it over. When you cook the other side, you cook the cheese now. Then you got like crispy cheese, right? So basically, what you're making is a grilled cheese with egg in the bread. Which one amazing, right? Here's the thing: I tried that out, Patrick.
Yeah, how'd it go?
A little too rich.
Okay.
Needs some acidity. Okay. Needs a little extra. So
maybe a little lemon on it.
Okay, if you want to elevate the game,
can we hashtag
elevate the game, Patrick? What you do is you put some avocado, have your avocado toast. Okay, but you got an egg. So one, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Two, a little bit of pico de gallo.
Whoa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slam that motherfucker together. Now you have what I like to consider to be like a grilled cheese for a person who shouldn't exist.
Okay.
Because, like, the level of happiness that you get from this meal, you get the richness, you get the egg, you get your protein, you get your sourdough bread, get all of that goodness, throw in that pico and that avocado, and then, like,
come on, brother.
Absolutely fucked up the game.
I mean, the game is not just elevated, it is now fucked.
It is. We fucked up the game.
Yeah. Now all I want is a little egg in a basket, if I'm being honest. But
So maybe you should make your significant other become a sourdough person.
maybe
They're going to commit a lot of their life to it.
Maybe, but I will say, so far, one loaf. I don't know. Do we call a focaccia a loaf? I think we do.
I think it's a loaf. I think it is. Yeah.
One loaf of focaccia it's focaccia season.
I love it,
here.
man. I love it, dude.
But yeah, so we'll keep everyone posted on Rose's focaccia journey. We'll probably talk a little bit about it tomorrow when we're live, but we're going to get to that. We have a lot of video games stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast, where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod, or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod, just like Rabbit128 is, just like Cole House Jr. is. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live, so you can be part of the conversation. And as I just mentioned, if you're live here today, Terry, John, I'm talking directly to you. Tomorrow night, we will be continuing our journey right here, twitch.tv/SpotlightGamesPod, with The Last of Us 2 with Rose on the 6th at 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/SpotlightGamesPod. So if you're listening to this on podcast services, go over to YouTube. We got some VODs up on YouTube. We took a little hiatus. We had a little hiate on the old Last of Us journey because my PlayStation was broken. It is now fixed, unless in the last 2 weeks it's broken again and I just didn't realize it, but I barely touched it. But we're back. We are, dare I say, back.
Oh, love to hear it.
And finally, join our Discord. We have a fun little Discord where we discuss what we're playing now, what we're watching, and generally goof off together about video games. So if that sounds like something you'd like, click the link in the description, click the link in the bio of our socials. Join the Discord. Cayman, last week we had our friends from all over the internet join us. We did. Cognitive Clips. We had Jerica and Kayla from the JK Games podcast to talk about your reign in the Fantasy Critic League. And what we didn't get to do last week was talk about what we've been playing, but we're back, baby. It's episode 119. It's just you and me. We're in the dumpster. We're having a private little moment together on the internet in front of 2,000 screaming fans. Sure. Cayman, what have you been playing?
Patrick, so here's the thing. I've been reading books, Patrick.
So the rumors are not true. You can read.
I can indeed read.
Wow.
And I really want to start in Discord a sick book club.
Okay.
And
why is it a sick book club?
Well, because a lot of the books that I read are books that's titles cannot be said alive on Twitch.
Okay.
So
that scares me a little.
There's that. So I've read over the last I'm like 100 pages in right now. It's a thicker book than normally I read because I read color books. I've been reading a lot, and typically what ends up happening is, for me, is when this happens, when I read, it's normally because I'm I've mentally hit a wall where I'm the media I'm consuming, I need to change.
Sure.
Because I'm not getting the same level of endorphin rush from it. That could be movies, and in rare instances, it's books. I've read 4 books, Patrick.
Whoa.
I'm on my 5th book, right, over the last couple weeks.
Wow.
I'm burning through them, right?
Churning and burning. It's a shame that accelerated reader isn't a thing anymore. You could be getting points.
Dude, I could go to... Did you know this, Patrick? I'm gonna drop some knowledge on you.
Fuck, let's go.
We get a classic Pizza Hut in my town.
I like where this is going. Continue.
Patrick, we have a classic Pizza Hut. It is one of 10 locations in the United States. Is in my hometown.
Yeah.
You want to go to that Pizza Hut buffet? Come to my town. We got that Pizza Hut buffet. It is a classic Pizza Hut.
Let's go.
So that being said, I wish we still had AR reading, because I could get so many free pizzas.
Come on, dude.
Will my body be able to actually hold a pizza down? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm getting an organ removed soon that will allow me to consume more pizza. This is science, guys. You could get an organ removed that allows you to have more pizza, which is, I think, America, man. Freedom.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion on this podcast about how much we back science, so much so that we're getting an organ removed from Cayman's body so he can have more fucking za, bro.
Yeah, brother. But here's the thing. The one of the ways to get me out of a rut, a video
Yeah.
game rut, is to get a platinum trophy.
Oh yeah.
So you know what I did, Patrick?
What'd you do? Tell me.
I didn't get a platinum trophy because the game was too boring.
Wait, what game was this?
God damn it! This game is called Gris.
Yeah.
Gris.
I still don't know how to say it properly.
Yeah, here's the thing. Doesn't matter. This game got like a lot of like really high marks when it first came out. Because they were like, look, this is like this puzzle platformer, and it's got such a great story to tell about all these things. And either one, I'm way too dumb to understand symbology. Obviously, I'm not George W. Bush. I don't understand symbology.
Sure.
Also, symbolism is for unicorns, and that game is apparently Unicorn Overlord, and I have never played that game. So I played this game called Chris. Here's the problem with it. This is boring. That's the issue.
Yeah.
It's
pretty,
no,
but
it's pretty
boring too.
It's and that's the problem. In a game that's like 4 hours long, like you can be pretty if you want to be pretty. You can be
oh boy.
pretty. Oh boy, I'm hearing my voice on.
You're hearing yourself. Sorry, we had a little echo happening, but it's been dealt with.
It's been dealt with. I love when we deal with things live on.
Oh yeah, come on, dude.
So this game, like, it's a puzzle platformer. It was on sale. I picked it up for like a couple bucks, so it's not like it like really like hurt my wallet. But yeah, man, I was looking forward to like something interesting. And while the art style is really nice, like the game's very pretty to look at. Sadly, there's just not a lot there that like kind of drove it for me to want to do much else. Now, I could have used a guide the entire time and could have gotten the platinum in one playthrough in probably another hour.
Sure.
The issue for me was that like the guide that I looked at was like, hey, play the game, love the game for what it is, then come back, put in a few more hours, get the platinum because it's got chapter select. And after I was done, I was like, look, here's the thing. I want to play Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
Or read a book.
Yeah.
Because I didn't find any sort of enjoyment from it. This game is like a solid maybe 3 out of 5.
Sure.
Maybe someone else out there in the audience will be like, hey, Cayman, you're wrong. This game's amazing. And maybe if you were not dumb, you would understand all of these things. And you can tell me that the game is about like is about grief. And while that's really cool that you can tell me that, like the game itself doesn't express it in a way that's like you can pick it up.
Sure.
Like if the trophies have to explain what I'm doing, like maybe you're not doing it in a way that's like easily accessible by anyone.
Yeah. So you would say this is a 3 out of 5 fine video game according to the Golden Shovel scale.
Yeah, Golden Shovel scale, this is fine. You might have some enjoyment from it. The good news is chapter select, you might have more fun. I didn't go back to chapter select to really do anything else. Okay. I got like 50% of the trophies and was like, you know what? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure if I want to really do this. So I didn't get the platinum, beat the game, didn't get the platinum. I don't think that my opinion is going to change much if I do decide to go back. But I did go back to Dragon's Dogma 2 and put more time into it. And I know that you beat the game, Patrick.
I did, which I'll talk about shortly.
Yeah, so I want to try to set you up here.
Set me up, dog.
Because we've talked, and I think when we had the thing that was like Cayman Patrick, what would we do if Capcom said, "Hey, because Capcom asked, what DLC do we want?" Like, I think I'm at a point now in the game where, like, for me to really enjoy New Game Plus, I think a fast travel system actually might be helpful.
I agree, big time.
I think and don't get me wrong, like I have so many fairy stones that allow me to fast travel if I want to. I've got a shit ton of them, so it's not like it's like hampering my ability to enjoy it. But I'm at a point where I'm like, a New Game Plus run. Yeah, this does seem like this is insurmountable. And I
would really hope that you get to keep all of your items and you get to bring all those fairy stones in.
So, so from what I've read, there's certain items that you don't carry over. And I don't want to spoil anything because certain items are like tied to certain things that can like break the game.
Okay.
Like hardcore break the game. And truthfully, I think when I finish the game, I'm only going to be missing like maybe a couple of trophies when I beat the game. So one of those trophies is more of just an obnoxious thing that they're doing that I don't think really serves the game. I think is a really cool thing. And them tying it to a trophy, I'm not mad about, but also I think it kind of sours the actual platinum.
What's the thing?
The riddles, the Sphinx goddess, which look, I think the Sphinx goddess is really cool. I think that's like one of the coolest puzzles in the game. It being tied to a platinum and the fact that like one wrong move can absolutely fucking derail.
Yeah.
Like literally, when I say one wrong move, I'm not kidding. You move too fast. Like you walk too fast in one of the riddles.
Oh, really? I didn't do that riddle.
Yeah.
I never found her the second time. I found her the first time and I finished all the first riddles, and then I never found the second one.
Yeah, so the second one, there's like a particular trophy in the second one that like requires you to move at a snail's pace while carrying a vase, and there's a way around it. There's a lot. We'll get into spoilers here if I try to explain too much. That being said, I really love this game.
Yeah.
Like if I set the trophy aside, what I think the game does is just so different than I think anything we've seen before it besides maybe the first.
Sure.
Game is really cool, and I'm at a point now where I know Patrick beat the game, so like when I say this is not going to be like some shock to you, but like I'm at a point now where I'm like really close to like locking myself into a point of no return,
right
where I'm at, and I've been exploring and I've been trying. I've unlocked every single vocation, and those vocations are very interesting. And I like fucked myself out of like getting the mastery of one vocation, which seems like a game changer, which kind of sucks. But I think that's true. That's like kind of like part of the charm of the game. It's like if you completely remove the meta of the platinum trophy, this game does so many things so weird and different that like it's really cool.
Well, I agree, and part of the thing. So I rolled credits twice because there is an ending and then a true ending.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I finished the true ending, about 52 hours roughly, and had a great time with it. Ultimately, I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5 on the Golden Shovel scale. An incredible video game.
Kind of love it.
And like so I mentioned when you were talking like the Sphinx, I never saw the Sphinx a second time. So like whenever I do, I'm not going to do it now, but whenever I do another playthrough, I'll have that to look forward to.
Yeah.
There's something that happens in the post game leading into the true ending, which I won't spoil, but you essentially have to go to all of the major cities. And that was the first time I went to one of the major cities. I just never found myself in the Elven place the entire time.
What?
And so like, so when I do another playthrough, there's like 5 or 6 quests in that city that which actually almost fucked me, but thankfully it didn't. I thought it was a game breaking like bug, but and whenever you get to that point, Cayman, I can let you know.
Can I tell you? Like this is really not. I locked myself out of dwarven smithing.
Oh, really?
Because if you do an elven quest line, it'll actually lock you out because you piss off the blacksmith. I had no earthly idea. I found this out late, like way later, that it was like you can't even access dwarven smithing. However, I did unlock a different type of smithing, which is like really fucking good too. So like that's why I love this game. Like
and like to that point, I never finished the dwarven smithing quest either. So like and I will say I won't go too in depth, but I went into the point of no return on accident. It was unclear to me that what I was about to do was going to lock me into the post game, which immediately ended several quests. It immediately completely changes the world. And that's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil anything. And that was really frustrating for me. I thought I was locked out of certain vocations because I didn't do these quests. And so like I had a bit of a frustrating time going into the post game because I was like, well, fuck. And the frustrating save system of Dragon's Dogma 2, I couldn't reload and do it again. I was just like, well, you're in the post game now. But even that happening, and even like these things that I missed, and even these kind of frustrations I still had an amazing time playing this video game. And it's clearly right now my game of the year. I think ultimately my biggest takeaway in the negative side of things is the narrative. I feel like, again, not spoiling, the true ending is really good. And I feel like if the vibe of the true ending could have been the narrative the whole way through, this would have been a fucking all-timer for me. But I just, by the end of the game, you know, your character you play, the Arisen, I just didn't care about the Arisen. And I think a lot of that was my character, you know, all of the Arisens being a silent protagonist. And not that a silent protagonist can't work, but I just felt like there were so many interactions where my character didn't even look like it cared what was happening.
Yeah.
And there are times that like the NPCs I'm talking about make a Bethesda NPC look like the fucking golden standard, which is shocking to me. And so there are those kinds of little things that ultimately added up that kept it from being a masterpiece for me. But the truth is, the gameplay of this game, the exploration of this game, the amount of times I just stumbled into an amazing, even 49, 50 hours in, I am stumbling into amazing shit. Like, if you like RPGs, you got to play this game. I think it's
100%.
And the fact that I got to the true ending in 52 hours, and I missed some big chunks, but I would think at most this game's going to be like 65 hours. So, dude, like, it's not one of these 100. Well, right, you can, right. But like, I feel like it's the kind of game where it doesn't have to be the
for sure
like 120 hour type experience.
Yeah. And that's, I think, that one of the things I saw was like whatever the final boss is. I have like, I'm completely spoiler free at like what the ending of this game is, which is shocking to me. But one of the things I saw was someone was like, made the comment, they were like, yeah, you have to be a level 40 or the final boss will immediately kill you. Like you'll just be killed.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You have to be level 40 or higher. You just immediately be killed. I was like, well, that's exciting. So, but what I've seen people say is like, look, if you just do the main campaign, you don't really do a lot of side stuff. You just do some of it. Like you can be level 40 by the time you get to the final boss. Yeah, I'm at 80 hours in. I'm at level 50 and I still haven't fucked a single person.
Hey,
so that'll tell you something.
Nothing but time, baby.
Yeah, which is crazy. I didn't even know you could fuck people until you told me.
Well, I mean, you can, but you can't. Like it like nothing happens. Like nothing. They're like nothing.
Did you make it to the hot? Did you ever get in the hot spring?
I did get in the hot spring.
Did you see like the little fucking like cloud of around your junk? Yeah,
that was funny. Cognitive Clips in the chat says, Patrick, how do these, quote, wish the true ending would have been the original ending feelings compare to Sea of Stars? This discussion reminds me of our discussion about Sea of Stars last year. I think it's similar in that, I think I don't know. I think with that game, a lot of people will miss the true ending because it requires you to do a lot. Like I just Googled the true ending for Sea of Stars. With this, with Dragon's Dogma, and I will be vague because I don't want to spoil Cayman's experience or other people's experiences. You go to like what is the final boss. If you win, credits, game over. And then something happens that puts you back in the world. And there's, I don't know, 5-10 more hours of content. And it ultimately kind of, it was giving more near than Sea of Stars to me, where like the game ends and I'm doing more stuff, but it just feels like it kind of feels like the credits and the end was just a cutscene. Like it doesn't actually feel like the game ends with what is the good ending, which I think is a good way to do it because
awesome.
Like I will say one of my absolute favorite moments of this game is the credits and then what happens right after the credits. And I think you'll know exactly what I mean when you get there. I literally, it was like 12:30, Rose was in bed, I was here, and I was like, what the fuck? Like out in my office right here on this chair, which was cool. The fact that I was still having that kind of a moment with the game. But I think with this, it's a bit comparing apples and oranges, even though I think you should be able to compare fruit however you'd like to, in that this true ending isn't quite like the true ending of Sea of Stars because that requires you to do like so much. This is more so like you're in this kind of new version and you have a few quests that you got to do. There's more boss fights. By the way, Cayman, you're going to level up so fast in the post game. Like I did. I feel like I leveled up like 10 levels in the post game.
Holy shit.
The XP that you're getting from these things is kind of crazy. But yeah, so I think the way that Dragon's Dogma did it worked for me more than the way Sea of Stars did it because it didn't require as much from the player. However, I think if you get the quote unquote good ending and let the credits run and finish the game, I don't think that that's a very satisfying ending. I
Sure.
think if I didn't do the thing that triggers like the post game, I would have probably landed on a 4 out of 5 with this game. Because I think some of the best stuff in the game from a combat perspective is in the post game.
Did you ever fight a Medusa?
I never did. And I so there was a moment last night, right as I was about to finish the game. I had a similar moment to finishing it the first time, not realize like I didn't realize that what I was about to do was going to actually finish the game, but I was okay with it this time.
Yeah.
But I was at this place and there's this thing that I'm about to do, and I'm like, I know where a Medusa is because I just looked it up, because I was like, how have I not fought a Medusa? And I realized I had just barely past where the Medusa is, because I went to that tower you told me about and did that experience, which was fucking awesome.
Dude, fucking so cool.
And there's a cave on that path that I just didn't go into because I was mainlining it to the Dragon's Breath Tower. And so it's like, I could go over there, but no, I'm just going to do this thing. And then it triggered the end of the game. So I was like, that's fine. Next time I play Dragon's Dogma 2, because there will be a next time, I'll make sure to go to the Elven City. I'll make sure to fight the Medusa. I'll make sure to actually do the Dwarven quest. Like there will be all these things that I now have to look forward to on my next playthrough, which is a cool thing to think about.
Which I think it's like it's throwing out a lot of Skyrim vibes for me, where Skyrim is one of those games, and like Dragon's Dogma is the same way, where it's like every time I've played the games outside of like the main quest line and the main companion quest, I feel like I've always stumbled into shit I never saw the playthrough before.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, like in a game like this, where I feel like I'm not even really upset that's like I'm not going to platinum it when I roll credits, is because I kind of like the idea that I'll go back and do a second playthrough in New Game Plus, where I'm like, I've got every vocation. I mean, at this point, I've maxed out the fighter, the ranger, the mystic spear hand, and thief are completely maxed out at this point for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, and I probably will never go back to Trickster, even though like, maybe
oh god,
really
what a horrible fucking
what a
thing.
fucking bad thing that thing is. But like, yeah, like I would love to go back and like try some of these ones I didn't get as much time. Like I haven't even played a single time as a mage.
I didn't either. I did my final kind of party situation was I was a thief. I went back to thief after I almost maxed out ranger, but I didn't. But I was like, I want to go back to thief.
Ranger.
I was a ranger. My main pawn was a mage. I got a second mage and a sorcerer. So essentially, I was just the DPS fucking god as the thief.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had 2 mages healing me so that I never had to worry about dying.
That's so cool.
I don't think I died a single time in the post game. Fighting so many fucking huge things, because I was being double healed. And then this sorcerer that I got from the Rift was just like floating all the time, like summoning lightning storms. This is fucking awesome.
The sorcerer is such like an interesting one that like we could talk about this all day. The truth is, at the end of the day, this is a game that like a New Game Plus for me. I'm glad I'm not going to platinum it, because I want to play it again. And I want to do some of these, like, I found out there's apparently like an entire quest line where you like have to spy on a character. Ooh. And that leads you to romancing a character.
Oh,
that, like,
yes, I did.
And I'm like, I never even did. I completely locked myself out. And then what I realized, this quest ends up unlocking the best weapon for the thief. And if you never did it, you don't even realize that it even connects to the thing that's 40 hours later. It's like, cool. There's a level of puzzle building that these developers have done in this game that like has blown my mind.
Yeah.
Like the last time I felt this feeling of like, wow, I didn't realize you could do this. Like this level of creativity in a game was like Baldur's Gate 3. Sure. But this game's way more fun combat wise than Baldur's Gate 3. It's way more fun combat wise.
And that's kind of what I mean to put a button on this discussion. Yeah. And that's kind of what I mean with the narrative side is like, man, if they could have nailed the narrative, this like easily would have been a top 5 game for me.
For sure.
Because if I'm only judging on experience, combat, exploration, easy 5 out of 5. But there would be moments where I was kind of like eye rolling or like, man, this could have been so much better. So hey, maybe we'll get a Dragon's Dogma 3, and
I
they'll.
genuinely think we will at this
I
point.
think we will. The
It did
success of this one,
so.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. We're getting a Dragon's Dogma 3 without a doubt.
Yeah. Let us know if you. I know we've been talking a lot about Dragon's Dogma 2 here on Spotlight Games lately, but it's because it's that fucking good. So go check it out. I barely played a game called Content Warning. I did
Oh yeah.
a thing with that. I played with Evan and a friend of his. Um, Fun game. I want to play it a little more before I really talk about it on the podcast. But if you're playing Content Warning, let me know, because it's such an interesting concept. It's like the concept is you and your friends go into this like underworld and are essentially like making content. And the goal is to like film shit and get out alive. And based on like what you film in this world, and like you can't attack anything. You can just like you have your camera and like little items.
That's
You
sounds
come out, you put it
insane.
on like YouTube, and you
I
based
love
on the
it.
film that you get like view counts, which is like your currency essentially. Cool concept, not that great, but cool concept. But let me know if you're playing Content Warning, because I'm interested in playing it a little bit more, but I don't know how much longer it's going to get out of me. But Cayman, all the talk in the town in the video game world right now is the Fallout TV show on Amazon. It finally dropped. It went the old school route of streaming where it dropped everything at once. We got all 8 episodes at once. You've watched all 8. I've only watched 3 of the 8. But I want to talk about it because this is a show we've talked about a few times on the podcast. We've been very excited about Fallout. You and I are both big Fallout fans. We have played most of the mainline games, at least since 3. I don't know that either of us played 1 and 2 way back in the day.
No, that was there's a. It's funny. We were sitting there. Sydney and I were sitting there on, and at a certain point, no spoilers, but certain point, there's a moment in the episode where a passcode is entered.
Oh, funny.
And the passcode is 100197 is the code. And I immediately was like, oh my God, that is the release date of the original Fallout. And Sydney was like, hold on a second. This game came out in 97? And I was like, yeah, dude, I was 7 years old when this game came out.
Yeah, that's really cool. But yeah, let's talk about it. So we won't go, deep into spoilers or anything because I don't want to be spoiled from Cayman. I've only seen the first 3, but so far the consensus online is this show is great, and I agree. But I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yeah, let's talk about the show, and I have some audience thoughts as well from our audience.
So I'll give you my thoughts. I'll give you what Sid said at the end. So for me personally, as someone who's played a lot of the games, I think the only game. Well, I haven't played 1 and 2, which, like, if you know 1 and 2, Bethesda didn't release 1 and 2. 1 and 2 are very, very, very different. They are like top-down isometric, like way more like what you would think of for like a role-playing game. Like it is like
more like a CRPG, like a computer RPG.
Yeah, it is. It's very archaic for the times it is now. Bethesda took over for 3. And then you had Obsidian, who did New Vegas. Then Bethesda did 4, and then 76. I haven't played 76. I played the other ones. I loved New Vegas. New Vegas is my favorite Fallout game. The good news is a bulk of this takes place in New Vegas-esque area. So a bulk of the game takes place in that like California, Nevada. And so
like the desert part.
Yeah. They really knew, like, when they released it, that they were like, yes, we know what we're doing here. Like, we know that the audience loves New Vegas. We're going to lean a little bit further into it, which I love. Me personally, love it. What I will say, like, what I loved about the show is the reason I hated Starfield. Is that the show captures that feeling of like, we're stumbling into this place. We're stumbling into these quest lines. We're stumbling into these characters. These like weird things are happening around us and we're stumbling into them. That sense of like, oh, wow, I'm in this world and this world feels weird. They do really well. And that's what I didn't like about Starfield was I felt like Starfield didn't understand that that's why we love Bethesda games.
Sure.
And that I really liked about it. I think that the characters were all lived in. They all felt very interesting. It was a lot of moral ambiguity, which is what Fallout is like, there's no right answer to anything. It's all kind of gray. There's going to be a lot of issues. There's going to be things that pop up. Like you're going to make decisions that could destroy half of the people that live in this world.
Yeah.
And you got to live with that. Like that's what makes Fallout such a very interesting game. And I think they really captured a lot of that in the show. What I will say is someone who is part of the show is that what didn't bother me was the fact that like the world itself, when you get to the end of episode 8, it doesn't really feel like they're giving you a lot of lore dumps about like what post Fallout is. And I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that they did that to show you like, hey, this is what it's not World War III in the games. It's
What do they call it?
There's a term for the war. It's some sort of like name. The Great War, I think is what it's called. You get a lot of like what the Great War, pre-Great War is like. And I really like that. Because when you play the games, most of this world building happens in like text and stuff about like this is what the world was like before the nuclear bombs dropped and the world became a wasteland. And so you get a lot of that, which is great. The problem is like I think personally for me, I would have really liked to have seen like tell me about the actual world we live in now.
Sure.
And they don't do a great job, which as someone who's played the games, I don't need that context. I know what world we live in now. I know what these characters are going through because I played all these games.
Sure.
So I don't need that. And that's where, when I was talking to my wife, who's obviously never played a single Fallout game, she knows very little about Fallout outside of like, she knows who Vault Boy is and she knows what the thumbs up is.
Yeah.
But outside of that, she doesn't really know. So when I asked her, she was like, here's the thing. The world building sucks.
So can I ask a quick question to make sure I understand what you guys are saying? So you feel like the show doesn't do a good job of just talking about the world that they are in now, currently. Okay, I understand now. I wasn't sure if you meant like pre-war or what.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. Yeah. So like I think the show is set in 2298.
Something like that.
Something like that is when the show set. So for Sydney was like, yeah, they do a terrible job telling me why this world is the way it is now and explaining like all of these different factions and all this stuff. Like who the fuck is the Enclave? I have no idea. The Brotherhood is still really cool looking, but who the fuck are they? What the fuck is New Republic of California? Doesn't bother me because I know what these are all. And I know all the history and the lore and the context. So as a viewer who's never played Fallout, that's lost on them. But what she said was like, I really love the character building. I think all of the characters that you get introduced to, they do a really good job of like building their dynamic over 8 episodes. I really like the way that the story went. I think there's a really good mystery. There is, and then that brings to like a point that like if we're not going to get into spoilers, but like there's a moment in the show that like drops a big thing.
Okay.
And if you played the games, that big thing means nothing to you because you knew what it was going.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
If you never see it, it's like, oh my God. So like, it's a weird tightrope that they walk to like, we want to build a show for people who know everything about Fallout. So we're going to fill it full of Easter eggs, and the Easter eggs fucking rule.
They're so good.
There's so many amazing. There's a one where they go in and they do like he's trying to hack a terminal when the character tries to hack a terminal, and it's like brings up like the actual mini game that you have to do to hack terminal. Fucking amazing. Means nothing to someone who doesn't know the game.
Sure.
But like to me, I'm like, I love this shit. There's so many Easter eggs that I can latch to. But for the other side, it's like there's so many big mysteries and unveilings and things that like drive the story forward that might be lost on someone who knows all of this before.
Sure.
So it's interesting. It's a weird thing when I juxtapose this next to something like The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Where like we know what's going to happen. But the way that they tell that story, I think, is so expertly done because The Last of Us is so expertly done.
Sure.
They're like, you don't care.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. And I think the thing too is with Fallout, like things happen in this game or things happen in the show that you're like, oh, well, if I made a decision differently in New Vegas or I made a decision differently in Fallout 3, this would not be what this world looks like.
Sure.
Which is really cool. But I think that what this is it's showing like there's a tightrope you have to walk when you do a show about a game that is all about choice.
For sure.
And there's going to be pros and there's going to be cons. Ultimately, though, what I will say, final thoughts, a really fun show.
Yeah.
And really, it was a super bingeable. I love that they dropped it all at once because we just fucking work through that shit.
Hell yeah.
Anyone out there that says that this show needs to be dropped episodically can suck one. I love the fact that I could burn through it over the course of a weekend.
Sure. Terry in the chat says, based on the only episode I've seen, they rely a lot on previous knowledge of the games. I never finished Fallout 4, and that was the only Fallout game I've played, and I was picking up surface level stuff, but there's still a lot of things I feel lost on. That makes sense. It's one of those things where, so yeah, I played all the same games that you have. I don't think I ever played 76. I just don't like survival games. But I played 3, New Vegas 4, and similar situation. Rose hadn't played them, but she knows a fair amount about Fallout from the ones that I've played. Not quite as much as she knew about The Last of Us, but she's aware. Like, she knew like a lot of the songs and like you said, like Vault Boy and all those kinds of things. And so, I feel like the tone of the show is also kind of like a bit of like a flippant tone of like, we're just here to have a good time. And I think some of that helps. At least I've not actually really talked to her much about it, but it seems like there are things that if they aren't making sense, it's kind of like, I mean, this is just a fun show, so it's okay that it's not making sense. Which, that's a weak argument if like you're having a tough time with things like being lost. But I think because it's not this like tragic epic like The Last of Us, that it's, Fallout games are open world RPGs that you're meant to have fun in. I think, and that they had kind of have that spirit in the show, which I like a lot. And like I also love how unabashedly this just feels like a video game. Like in the first episode, our main character, Lucy, is that her name? Yeah. Lucy gets injured, goes in her room, opens up a med kit, grabs a stim pack, which is basically a med kit, shoves it in her side. You hear the same sound that you hear in the game, and all of a sudden she's healed. And I'm like, why not? We're 200 years in the future. Yeah. They have all of this weird tech to help them survive in this vault. Why not have med kits just be a thing?
There are so many moments throughout this show that, and I think the big thing, it's the it's the hyper gore.
Yeah.
That is it, like if you played Fallout, like if you with the VAT system, there's a joke that gets made where like a character's shooting and they don't like hit a single thing and they're like, God damn it. I do a lot better when I have a VAT system with it. It's like
amazing.
I haven't gotten to that part yet. Laughable because it's but like you'll see this is like the hyper gore is one of those where Fallout, like you can pick limbs you want to shoot off of people. And the reason it was implemented in the first place was because the shooting was so dog shit.
Right.
It had to have it. And so when Skyrim comes out, you don't need VATs anymore because the shooting's just better.
Yeah.
And so there's it's like a funny moment where like it is unabashedly video game. And to me drives home the point. We're in this is the time for video games to be adapted.
I totally
without a fucking
doubt. I agree. Like I feel like Fallout, I always had a good feeling about, similar to The Last of Us, where it's like the material is just so rich to be adapted. And then, hearing the creative team, hearing Jonathan Nolan's behind it, and Amazon's putting like all of their money behind it. It's like that. Walton Goggins, who is fucking great in this.
Dude, he's
Greg,
so fucking good in this game.
Yeah, Greg, friend of the show, wrote in, said finished it over 2 days, loved it. Walton Goggins is by far the best part of it. He's so good. He's
incredible.
You get these amazing actors. I also really love, I forget her name, but the actress from Yellow Jackets that's playing Lucy. I think she's great.
Purnell,
or Ella Purnell. I think
Ella Purnell.
Yeah. It's really, really good. Also. Friend of the show, Boston Mike, says it's fire. Totally agree. Like I'm having a great time with it. I'm hoping that once I'm done here, I get to walk out in the living room and watch episode 4 because I just want more Fallout. And it's doing the thing that so many good adaptations are doing, which is making the audience like myself want to go play Fallout. I got New Vegas on my PC. I started downloading some mods because like, let's see what all these mods are about. I've only put in like 30 minutes so far, but I'm excited to go do another playthrough of New Vegas because of the Fallouts, that's the one I've played the least. I actually don't know that I ever finished New Vegas the first time.
What?
I might have. I just can't remember. It's been so long. But I played the wheels off of 3 back in the day, so
Dude,
I know
New
3 like the back
Vegas,
of my hand.
New Vegas is revolutionary, and I here's the thing, like this obviously isn't a spoiler. There's going to be a second season.
Oh, for sure. There's got to be.
And the way that they prime up the second season at like the end of like the season finale teaser at the end, bro.
Cool.
We're in like that's I think the biggest heartache for me is like it's probably going to be a couple of years because of the amount of budget that's gone into this. That's like I'm actually really bummed out because I want to see season 2 is going to be fucking insane. But dude, there's just this show is really good.
Yeah.
And then now finding out that like Keanu Reeves is going to play Shadow the Hedgehog in Sonic 3. It's like, guys, like we're in a moment where like, even if you look back, you go back and listen to the Spotlight Save Trash Cinema crossover where we did Welcome to Raccoon City. And I can't remember where you fell on it.
It was fine.
But like for me, like even that was the best Resident Evil we've ever gotten.
Sure.
We're in a moment where video games can be made into TV and movies, and it fucking rules.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I think a lot of it is that there have been enough that have worked.
Yeah.
That we're getting real dollars put behind them.
Sure.
It's no longer the like,
dude,
John Leguizamo Mario film of here's $20 and a pack of cigarettes to make this movie.
Here's the thing, if you jump onto Netflix right now, there's like 4 or 5 seasons of the Castlevania anime.
Yeah.
Which is
I've heard that's really
astoundingly good. There's a Dragon's Dogma anime that is really fucking good.
Oh, cool.
Like there's so many like little hidden gems. Now, sure, if you go and try to find the live action Tekken movie that came out in like 2016, I can promise you that movie's dog shit. You want me? I'll pull it from my collection. I own a copy, can testify. It's bad.
Yeah.
So what I can say is someone who loves movies and loves movies. I'm not as big on TV. I like TV. It's just fine. We are in the heyday. There's going to be in 10, 20 years, we're going to look back. We're going to be in our 50s, Patrick. We're going to be looking back like, do you remember that time where video games were fucking great when they were turned into shit?
It's so exciting. Like I'm so glad that it's finally happening and that we get to talk about it every fucking week on this podcast because I'm thrilled. If you're watching Fallout, let us know what you think. And if you're not watching Fallout, go watch Fallout because it's really good. Came in last story of the day.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. But pulling here from Taylor Lyles at IGN, we might finally be getting Hollow Knight Silksong's release date tomorrow as of recording, yesterday as a release, because an Indie World Showcase is coming from Nintendo. Nintendo has announced the first Indie World Showcase of 2024. The digital showcase airs tomorrow, April 17th at 7 a.m. PT, 10 a.m. ET. As with previous Indie World Showcases, the event's going to be roughly 20 minutes and will feature news and updates focused on indie games heading to the Nintendo Switch. The last Nintendo Indie World Showcase was held in November, and some of those announcements included a port of Outer Wilds, Shantae Advance Risky Revolution, and On Your Tail. Though Nintendo did not tease or specify which games would appear this time around, many fans hope that Team Cherry will finally unveil a release date for Hollow Knight Silksong. Silksong, the highly anticipated sequel to 2017 game Hollow Knight, also featured on Harold's Darkness's team and Fantasy Critic, that is my team, was announced back in 2019. But in the year since, Team Cherry has provided minimal updates on when fans can expect the project to release. And then I added in here because we've also seen recently, a couple weeks ago, a South Korea rating leaked for the game. And then as of this week, there's a rating for the game in Australia as well. So there's signs happening. We got South Korea, we got Australia, we got this Indie World Showcase. It's been what feels like fucking 10 years since it was announced. Came in. Are we getting Hollow Knight Silksong news tomorrow? Yes or no?
We will get news. We won't get a release date.
You think there's still not a release date?
We will be waiting, and I would say, and John out there is going to be really mad. This game's coming out this year.
Okay.
But we ain't going to get shit until the next Xbox showcase.
So in the summertime, you think?
So I'm thinking like an August, September release date for the game. And I think the reason we're not going to get a release date for Holosong is because, or Hollow Knight Silksong, not Holosong.
You shortened it a
Yeah,
bit.
it's close.
Shorthand.
We'll call it Holosong going forward.
Yeah, Holodong,
Holodong. So the reason I think this is because Microsoft has paid a lot of money for this to be day and date on Xbox. And you better fucking believe that they are not going to let Nintendo or anyone else be able to be the one that drops the news that this game, Hollow Knight Silksong, releases August 26th, day and date on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah. I mean, we've always said Xbox does what Nintendo don't. We've always said that.
We literally have always said that. And the truth is, I think we're going to see something, but I really don't think that Microsoft has spent, and they've spent a fucking chunk of change to make sure this comes out day and date on Game Pass. They're not going to give up the opportunity to be the one that like has that big reveal of, and you will see this game at this date first time right now on this, and it's us.
So perhaps what we see is we get another trailer, we get like fall 2024, and then
probably
at the summer showcase Xbox gives us the date is what you're
1000%.
Okay.
1000%. I think, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, just from a financial standpoint, Nintendo doesn't give a shit about anything. If they cared about money, we would have a new Star Fox game. Metroid Prime 4 would have already come out. Look, there's so many titles that Nintendo has. They don't care about releasing a date. They just don't care. So Xbox does, though, and Xbox needs that big splash thing to get their name back in the news of like, we're doing this thing. Because the truth is, guys, after the Activision Blizzard deal, have we talked about Xbox?
Not a ton. We will be next month with Hellblade 2, but it's not been a ton. It's not been a ton of good conversation because Starfield was a bit of a dud. Diablo was a dud. I mean, that was like that was as it was closing, but
Xbox announces Diablo 4 is now on Game Pass. No one fucking talked about it. No one cared because one, Diablo 4 kind of sucked.
Yeah, it wasn't
as a huge Diablo fan, kind of sucked.
Yeah.
And also, like, at that point, I think John dropped in the chat, was like, is anyone still playing this that wants to play it with me? If not, that's fine.
Yeah.
And
Diablo 4 was a huge disappointment.
He's more excited that we might all get into Sea of Thieves now that it's coming to PlayStation, and then he can bust out his Xbox for that, which is great, right? Like, I love that for him. Xbox needs this, and Xbox needs to be the one that delivers the date. If it comes out, if they deliver the date tomorrow, bummer.
Because I'm a dreamer and a schemer, and I want one of us to be right and one of us to be wrong.
It's coming out this year, dude. You're gonna get points for it.
No. What I'm gonna say is we're gonna get a date tomorrow, and it's gonna be in like a month. It's gonna be like within the next 4 weeks. Might be 2 weeks, might be 3 weeks. Who knows? But
I don't know.
That's what I'm thinking.
I think Silksong's big enough that like I don't think that they're gonna do like a month shadow drop. Like, it doesn't benefit them.
I don't know that it'd be a shadow drop at this point because it's been talked about for 5 years now.
Yeah, but like I still like. I mean, when Beyonce dropped Lemonade, that was a straight up shadow drop.
Well, yeah, I mean,
we all knew Beyonce was in the studio fucking working. You know what I mean?
Sure. Counterpoint, even though I don't know that this, because they did it once doesn't mean they'll do it again. The last time when Hollow Knight 1 came out, the release date and announcement was within 2 weeks of each other.
Okay,
but that was the first game. So like, this is a bigger game. There's the Xbox dollars to your point. So, maybe not, but there is precedence.
I don't disagree. I would love for them to come out tomorrow and be like, bada bing, bada boom, it's coming out in 2 weeks. We'd be fucking I would love it for the people who are Hollow Knight fans. I would fucking love it for them. I didn't play the first game because that game looks hard.
Yeah, it does.
Like, I don't got time for that. I am also bad at video games, as we've addressed. I could play Elden Ring, but this game looks hard. Okay. But I would love it for the Hollow Knight fans. What I'm saying is that, like, temper your expectations. You've all been let down for years.
And it would only make sense to be let down one more time before
Yeah.
it actually comes out.
That is,
And, you know,
that's
selfishly, I do want it to be later in the year because I've tried Hollow Knight, the first one, a few times, and it's not that I didn't like it. I just like didn't get into it, but I
too
know
hard.
that I will like it.
It's too hard.
It also was hard, but I would like to play the first one before playing Silksong. But if it's coming out in 2 weeks, I'm not going to have time for that. I still got to finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I still got to, I should even say finish. I should say start the last, or Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. So
would it be wrong of me, Patrick, to be like, I'm taking a hiatus from playing video games until July for college football 25? Because, dude, you sent me that video the other day. The hype level is
true to roof, brother.
brother.
Yeah,
brother.
I'm excited for you, but yeah, we'll see. But you know, by the time this goes live, we're gonna know whether or not we saw Hollow Knight Silksong. So if we got the release date, everybody tweet it came in, you're a fucking hack. If we didn't get the release date, tweet at me, say I'm a fucking hack.
Yeah, I would love for you guys to
one of
tweet
us
it.
gets hate after tomorrow. And we'll see.
Wait, have you ever gotten a hate from this show?
For sure.
We had an entire episode dedicated to just shitting on me.
That's true. The People versus Came and Dirty, which I almost, because OJ just died, almost re-released that episode on.
You should re-release it with the deleted artwork we had.
That's true. That's true. I actually should do that.
You should 100%. I think it's now okay to release that artwork.
Yeah, such a good piece of artwork that we never released because we were afraid it might be offensive. But I don't think it was. But anyway, yeah, that's our show. I'm excited to see whether or not we get Silksong tomorrow. But you know, I just love it when Nintendo comes out and shows us shit. There's going to be something that I'm going to be excited about, even if it's just one game out of the
for sure.
Kamen, where can the folks at home follow you before we go our separate ways?
Yeah, man. And an audience, you guys can find me at Twitter on Twitter at the Dumpster Boy.
There we go.
I do want to do a quick shout out to my wife. Someone out there, John's out there, he's about to drop some fucking joke in the chat for this, but my wife has a stained glass business called Bloodroot Glassworks, and the reason I'm pointing this out on this particular episode is she did a very, I think, awesome piece.
It's incredible.
Where she made a stained glass clicker head, and it is really fucking cool. So if you want to go see that, go to Instagram and look up Bloodroot Glassworks and give her a follow and like that. And also it's for sale. So like if you are interested in having a really cool piece of artwork from The Last of Us in your house, well, guess what? You can buy that. So, you know, not saying that it helps me financially, but
Sure. You know, go follow her on Instagram because it's really fucking cool. This I tried to find it real quick on my browser, but I wasn't able to share it. But it's really fucking cool.
It's so go to Discord. I don't know. We probably mentioned it, but yeah, also go to Discord.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, go hang out in Discord with us. We drop all sorts of random shit in there, and conversations are always a ton of fun.
Hell yeah.
And if you haven't joined us on Discord there, go join Spotlight Games on Discord.
Let's go.
It's a great time.
You can follow me at Patrick Schwag. You can follow the pod at Spot Games Pod on Twitter and Spotlight Games Pod everywhere else. That's Instagram. That's TikTok. That's YouTube. That's right here on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. We'll be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time with a stream. Looking forward to that. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, whether it's on podcast services or right here on Twitch, because we are affiliates, so we do get some monies from Twitch if you do subscribe.
Yeah, you guys should start subscribing more because I haven't seen any monies.
We got a resubscribe from Terry. He's on a 3-month streak at the top of the show. Thanks for that, Terry, if you're still here. But yeah, no, the support helps us do fun shit. So we always appreciate it. Well, until next week for the next episode of the podcast, or tomorrow for the next stream.
Bye-bye.